Alexander Isak has finally spoken and bombshell dropped. This has got to a point now where I don't think any football fan has ever seen anything like before. This is getting, the words ridiculous, absurd and ludicrous have been used. The internal fight at Newcastle right now, the civil war with what's going on with the players. Some players like Isak, some players want him back, some players are backing him. At this point, Newcastle have to make a decision on this, surely, but he's actually come out now and probably made things worse with his statements and what he's actually said. And let's get into what he's actually said, because it's to the point, it is to the bone, isn't it? And this is something very, very similar to like what Victor Gyökeres was saying with the whole saga with Arsenal and Sporting before. This so-called agreement that was said that isn't written down. If nothing's written down in any walk of life, it counts for absolutely nothing, by the way. But this is Isak's take on things. I'm proud to be recognised by my fellow professionals with a place in the PFA Premier League Team of the Season. First and foremost, I want to thank my teammates and everyone at Newcastle United who has supported me along the way. I am not at the ceremony tonight. With everything going on, it didn't feel right to be there. I'll go with that, definitely. I've kept quiet, for a long time while others have spoken. That silence has allowed people to push their own version of events, even though they know it didn't reflect what was really said and agreed behind closed doors. The reality is that promises were made, and the club has known my position for a long time. To now act as if these issues are only emerging is misleading. He's going right in there. And the final bit, when promises are broken and trust is lost, the relationship cannot continue. And that's where things are for me right now, and why change is in the best interest for everyone, not just myself. That is definitely a player side of things. We have probably heard that side of things before many times from other players in situations not as crazy as this one, but similar. And when you look into this, Newcastle responding to it instantly kind of tells you that there is some kind of war going on behind the scenes. Like Eddie Howe, when he talks about things in press conferences at the moment, you can see it's draining the life out of him right now. It's got to that stage, hasn't it? But Newcastle, in response to this, we are disappointed to have been alerted to a social media post by Alexander Isak this evening. We are clear in response that Alec remains under contract and that no commitment has ever been made by the club officially that Alex can leave Newcastle this summer. They go on to say, obviously, they take the players' interest at heart, but again, it is all to do the best for Newcastle, and that's their stance on it. So the player obviously responding in a way that you'd expect him to respond, and obviously the club doing likewise. The fact that Alexander Isak cannot be decorated at the PFA Player of the Year Awards tells you that this is really now getting to a crazy stage. And this is a fantastic footballer who is entering the prime years of his career and has no idea when he's going to play football again. That's the reality of the situation right now. The fans are all at loggerheads. Everybody is looking at this situation. But just this piece alone that I've seen online here, and somebody's comments, a guy called Adam actually saying that from looking on the outside, it does sound hypocritical. It does sound crazy, but listen to this. So let me get this straight. When Trent Alexander-Arnold did the best thing for him and went to Real Madrid, Liverpool fans were furious and called him a traitor. And now Alexander Isak is doing the same. They're furious he isn't being allowed to leave. Newcastle fans are now furious at Isak and calling him a traitor, and now Yohan Wissa is doing the same thing to Brentford, and Newcastle fans are furious he's not being allowed to join. From the outside, you've got to laugh at the hypocrisy. Yeah, that I think sums everything up, right? And look, fans are fans. Fans are fickle. Fans are always going to go with their agenda, their narrative, and obviously it's going to be one-sided. We're all pretty much tinted in whatever colour our flags are, aren't we? That's where fans are at. That's how it's always going to be. But the big point that needs to be made from this is the players and the problems that the players are now causing. Like, if you've got a contract, I said at the start, like, I don't like the way that Garnacho and Sancho are dealing with their situations at Manchester United either. I think they should rot. I don't care what happens to them in the future. But these players in this position of strength right now know that they have got the club. They've got the club literally at arm's length, and they're doing whatever they want. They feel like they've got the power to do so. When you've got players, and let's look at this right now. Just roll off them names right there. Wissa, Alexander Isak, Alejandro Garnacho, Jadon Sancho. These players that should be playing football right now. Let's not forget, we are a week into the season, and these players have not kicked a ball at all yet. They're all now training away from their teammates. And these are good players. These are very, very good players that should be now getting ready to start the season. What has happened to football? What's happened? And it's got to a point where you're actually thinking that the Premier League, the contracts, agents, and football associations are going to have to come together and stop this happening, because it is really affecting what's going on at football clubs right now. I know it's probably an impossible thing to do, and contracts are contracts, and one side has their say, another side has their say, and it's just a bit of a mess, and no one really wants to deal with it. But this has got to a point now where you are not seeing players play anymore, which is what everybody should be concerned about. The fact that they have got no football clubs, and there is a realistic chance that you're talking about 4 Premier League footballers here that all played last season and did well in their own right last season for their respective clubs, are not going to be playing this season at the start of this season. If clubs are going to stand their ground and not buckle, like Newcastle's stance, like United's stance, like Brentford's stance right now with the players in question here, if they are going to stand their ground, then these players are not going to play football anymore. They're contracted to the football clubs, and if they're going to take their wages and sit there on the bench, or not even on the bench even, or sit there on the sidelines, then the Football League, the Premier League, is devalued as well. And this is now affecting what the fans are actually watching, what the fans are paying for. The fans are paying wages for players, or contributing to their clubs for players to sit out and argue with that club. What is going on? It's absolutely crazy as to how this situation has even developed. And these so-called gentlemen's agreements and certain things that haven't been put down in writing. There mustn't have been anything there in Alexander Isak's situation, just like there wasn't in Victor Gyökeres's situation. Yeah, a conversation can happen, but conversations are not documented. The conversations and gentlemen's agreements count for absolutely nothing in any walk of life. They have to be written down in writing. They have to be down in writing, and they have to be there for everybody to see. And it quite clearly, in this case in particular, again with Isak, to the extent where it's got now, is that it's not. The Newcastle are a fantastic football club, and their fans are all over the place at the moment. The players are all over the place at the moment. They don't know whether they're coming or bleeding going. They're playing players out of position, and already in a league which is so hard that you cannot afford to drop points in, these teams are actually dropping points already. In the case of Newcastle, playing wingers up front because your striker has gone AWOL and is not happy. Brentford, after losing their captain, their manager, and their leading goalscorer last season, have now got another striker who is unwilling to play for them. They've already lost their first game of the season and already up against it. A new manager applying his trade in the Premier League for the first time ever, and for Brentford, already up against it. Carnage. Let me know what you think of the situation. Get your thoughts into the comment section below. Give the video a like as well. Make sure you hit that subscribe button up on your screen. I'll see you all in the next video, everyone.